Something huge is brewing with the Boston Bruins and the New York Islanders as a trade appears to be imminent. We've spoken about J.G. Pageau in the past, but a recent report has revealed that the 7th overall pick is in play with the New York Islanders, and names like Matt Barzal are being thrown out into the mix as well. We have a lot to cover in today's video. So much trade news is going down after the regular season, or the NHL season has just ended, and the Bruins could be looking to move up to the 1st overall pick. We have so much news to cover here today, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to stick around, hit the sub button. We're on the road to 7K. We're 101 subscribers away. If you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed already, and you're looking for your Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button, join me here. I'm going to have it all right here throughout this entire offseason. Multiple videos coming today. You won't want to miss it. But let's jump into this article because this is insane. And we saw this come out this morning a few hours ago with all the mix of the New York Islanders throwing in more picks, maybe something else other than J.G. Pageau. And we're going to pull up our first screenshot here from RG Media. The Bruins and Islanders trade talks are heating up, and it's not just about Pageau. Sources confirm the number 7 pick and James Hagens are in play. Now, we're going to jump into James Hagens in a moment. Of course, this kind of seems a bit weird having him here in this, article title and kind of going over this because, of course, he's in this year's draft. But things have turned, moves have been made, and it appears that he could be landing with the Boston Bruins. But we're going to kind of take a look at this from Mark D'Amico as well. The Islanders and Bruins are confirmed to be in trade talks with the 7th overall pick in play, but as Jimmy Murphy reports, the talks go beyond Jean-Gabriel Pageau as the two teams have gone deep into discussions, and the full story below. And we're going to have the main quote from this article here in a moment. But when we take a look at this, of course, Jean-Gabriel Pageau was someone that we were not really happy with as just himself, but seems to be there are more moving parts in this potential deal with the New York Islanders, including the 7th overall pick from our side. And we haven't seen anything yet, but this report, and this article from RG Media, jumps into the possibility of moving the 1st overall pick as well from the New York Islanders. And obviously, the Islanders would love to keep the 1st and 7th overall pick, but if we do not get a top player or that 1st overall pick and the Bruins give up more, this deal would not happen. There's no chance that Jean-Gabriel Pageau is going for the 7th overall pick, and just a few more small pieces. I'll lose my mind if that happens. But let's jump into the main quote here. I think the more important thing to take away from this RG Media article, and this is what a source close to RG has to say. Much more than that, the 7th overall pick has been discussed too, not just with the Islanders. So sources are looking that the Bruins are looking to trade the 7th overall pick. Could this be something that the Bruins, are not comfortable making the 7th overall pick after what we've been able to see in the past? Is that going to be the case? I don't necessarily think that's a main reason, but after we look at this kind of area of pick in the 7th round, 7th overall, realistically, anything after 2 or 3, it kind of goes into who knows where, who's going where. You never really know. And especially with Craig Button's draft board that we're going to touch on in a later video today as well, something we're going to jump into here in a moment. There's a lot of moving parts around this 1st round and leads to James Hagens being available. But Jean-Gabriel Pageau is part of this trade as being reported here from RG Media, from Jimmy Murphy, from Mark D'Amico. So many people. 79 games played this year, 42 points, 2nd line, 3rd line minutes, 32 years old. Not great on defense. Jean-Gabriel Pageau is a guy that you want to have in your bottom 6 as a very, very solid bottom 6 player. Nothing more, nothing less. He doesn't bring really anything special to the table apart from depth and experience, but for the Bruins right now, that's not what we're looking for. So having him in this deal is just kind of, a topper for what, or a building piece for this trade. But as we move towards and further into this possible deal, and we take a look at Craig Button's trade board, you see here, James Hagens moves down to 8th, below the Bruins pick at 7, and Caleb Dornier at 7. We're going to jump into this. I'm not going to go too much into it because we have a video later on today about all of this. There's a lot of moving pieces, and the Bruins have really been put into probably a much better spot than 5th overall now because of how many people are dropping, who's moving up and whatnot, and the Islanders were looking for James Hagens. That has not been a surprise. They want their local boy. Of course, he is at Boston College, but from Long Island in New York, of course, and makes a lot of sense for them to try and get him while also trying to keep Matthew Schaefer, but there's going to have to be a lot of moving parts for this, and whether or not it is going to be a top talent on their team, there's a few names that really ring some bells. Noah Dobson, Matt Barzal, Bo Horvat. 2 centers and a very, very solid defenseman who's been reported is going to be moved from the Islanders are the top candidates for this team right now, and for the 7th overall pick, personally, as a Bruins fan, and looking at a trade and what the Islanders have to give up, it's either going to be the first overall pick, the Bruins give up more, 7th and more, or we get a top talent from the Islanders back. And when we do look at that, there's a lot of pieces that may not really work out well here for the Boston Bruins in this case, in a trade for looking for a top talent. This is what Pierre LeBrun had to say in a recent article going over the movement. Speaking of centers, there's a long list of teams eager to see where things go with the New York Islanders under new GM Matthew Darche. When it comes to Matthew Barzal and Bo Horvat, could either center become become available, The answer is no. Darche has communicated with both star players that they're staying put. That's going to be disappointing for teams who are hoping to make an offer on either. Of course, Pierre LeBrun coming out with that, but this puts us in a very interesting spot now. Matt Barzal not available. Bo Horvat not available. The first overall pick needs to be in this realm unless it's Noah Dobson, a player who, as I mentioned, was likely to be traded at some point last year. Didn't happen. Now, it kind of seems like at some point this year it's going to happen. Matt Barzal would be in a very ideal option, especially when we're looking at, I don't want to say it, but how he passed up on him, everything, going through that whole system in 2015, really puts this into perspective that, what could have been and what could be for the future. But now that Matt Barzal and Bo Horvat are apparently out of it, Noah Dobson really seems to be the only target that, at least me personally, and just kind of from the Bruins standpoint, would be Noah Dobson. Right-handed defenseman, 25 years old, current RFA, would really fill in well the remainder of this defense. As we know, there's a big hole there on the right side behind Charlie McAvoy, but it's very hard to justify, and especially having to pay a guy like Noah Dobson, very hard to justify putting him behind Charlie McAvoy. So it would work out. There's no doubt about that, but it would just be a very tough position to put them in when you have a guy like Noah Dobson, who is a first-line defenseman, putting him on the second line there behind Charlie McAvoy. So that's why I'm really seeing the idea behind Matt Barzal. Of course, 20 points, 30 games last year. Was hurt majority of last year, but coming off a career year the year before that, it really goes to show that there are some big things that could happen, but the way the Islanders have structured their offseason, and Matthew Darche has come out and said, it really seems like it's a lot of moving parts to be able to get to a new point where we see in this trade, and something that we haven't seen thus far. But when we jump into it and we kind of take a look at Matt Barzal as well throughout his career, as I mentioned, he's been getting better over the length of his career. Of course, had a few great years there in the middle, at the beginning. Islanders weren't great in the middle there. Now starting to get back again. Hurt last year, but we really saw what he can do, and when he gets into a rhythm and when he stays healthy, he's a phenomenal player. But when it comes down to a Matt Barzal contract, $9 million is what he is also making, which is quite a bit of money. Now, could the Islanders try and stray away from this? It is possible. They also have to make the decision whether they want to keep him at center, whether they keep him in the wing. If Matt Barzal wants to play center and the Islanders want to play him at the wing, maybe he wants out. You never know what's going to happen in this kind of behind-the-scenes instance between teams like this and when moves have to be made just like this. So there's a lot of questions being raised there, and with that 5 years remaining on his deal at 9.1, it's a deal that will look very, very good in a couple of years if Matt Barzal continues to develop, continues to get better, stays healthy when the cap goes up. But when we do take a look at some very interesting notes here, this one comes from Mike Bartner, an Islanders article, or an Islanders reporter, creator, I'm not really sure. But Dobson Peugeot for the 7th overall pick, then tank next season for McKenna, gives you a strong core, young core with Schaefer, Higgins, top 7 pick in 2026, Eisman, Ritchie alongside veterans, Bo Horvat, Matt Barzal, and Sorokin, who would be good in their mid-30s. Now, this is what I've been seeing quite a few Islanders fans kind of come out and say, that Dobson Peugeot for the 7th, that would be something that would be very interesting. But as I mentioned, Peugeot, not really what we're looking for. Noah Dobson, very difficult to justify putting behind Charlie McAvoy and have him there as a line 2 defenseman. You'll have to really come out here and think about something like this if you want to make it happen. But we have another one here from Stefan Rosner. Mentioned this the other day. I see a lot of people saying, why would the Islanders trade pick X if Higgins is likely to go earlier? The Islanders want Higgins. They're going to make they're not going to make a premature trade and hope it works out. They'll trade with a team when that team is on the clock. So this could be a deal that's being discussed come 2 weeks' time or 9 days' time actually now, when the draft is occurring. And could this be a deal that is, being made before the draft is actually underway, but this is waiting until the draft, until James Higgins is there? Could Dobson be heading over to the Bruins? There's so many moving parts, and we're going to get a lot more news coming out about this, ladies and gentlemen. So be sure to let me know what you think in the comments below here about this stuff that we have here today. This is only about 3 to 4 hours old, of course, so we're going to get a lot more stuff coming out. These are just from really Islanders reports now, RG. When we get some more from, an Elliot Friedman, a Pierre LeBrun, someone like that we're actually getting more info on, I'll be sure to have you updated here. And as I mentioned, we got another video coming out later today with the whole, Craig Button draft list, where Bruins stand, what could be done, and there's going to change a lot of things. So if you're looking for all your Bruins news, be here on the channel. I'm going to have it all over these next few days. So much content, and throughout the entire offseason. You won't want to miss it. That's all I got in this video. If you enjoyed, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.